Hello everyone, welcome back to the Vintage Model Company YouTube channel. This is an episode all to do with turning your magnificent flying machines, rubber-powered aeroplanes to radio control. This episode is going to take you through building one of these things from start to finish, from getting your kit all the way up to flying this thing and having a lot of fun with it. These models are great for just anyone really with an interest in building their own aeroplanes and flying them with radio control. They're so small that they can fit on a shelf. They've got a great power to weight ratio. A little geared brushed motor goes in here, which has a lot of power when combined with a 5x3 prop and a 1-cell battery, which doesn't sound like a lot, but with a 50-gram airframe, you've got a ton of power at your disposal really. So this plane is 3-channel, you've got the tail controls, the rudder and the elevator, and the motor of course. All the things that you need are included in the power packs that we have just released on our store. So you can pick one of these up, pick up one of these aeroplanes, and follow this video along to put your aeroplane together. You can pick up any of our magnificent flying machines and convert them to RC with the methods that are described in this video. We're not supplying custom mounting parts for every single kit because we make loads of them. So instead, I'm going to be showing you how to sort of craft your own from scrap wood and stuff like that you can find mostly in the kit. So all you'll need really are a few tools, these two things. Okay, let's speed through the first bit of the build, which is building the airframe, the wings and the fuselage, and then we'll get started with installing your electronics.
As you're probably already aware, these kits are built over a 1-to-1 scale plan, so the first thing to do is to stick this down, identify the wing parts and get gluing. You can use the included wood glue that is found in the kit, or upgrade to the Deluxe Materials Rocket Hot 5-second super glue, which really speeds up your build time. All of the components are removed from the laser cut sheets and then pinned down to the building board one at a time. The Cessna 140 kit is a great option for beginners as it's very square. That is to say that the wing is a straightforward design with no tapering, and the fuselage is nice and boxy, without any complex compound curves going on. The tail surfaces at this stage are built as described in the plans, and then separated to make movable control surfaces later on. Okay, now it's time to start on the electronics pack. As mentioned previously, this pack provides you with all of the onboard electronics that you need to get your plane flying, aside from the battery. The included brick, the Micro RX, ESC and servo board is a Spectrum receiver. If you're using another radio system that doesn't work with Spectrum, the motor and other components are available separately on our website store, just in case you want to find your own brick system. When you're building your airframe with the view to installing some of your micro electronics, you'll realise that certain parts of the build need to be altered. The nose block is one of these things that you'll need to change. Simply glue it together without the free flight block at the rear and scoop out some material from the back so that your motor shaft passes all the way through. To find the correct location for the motor, toy around with holding it inside the nose. Once you know where it will sit, using the nose block and nose block hole as a guide, you can start to make a mount for it. You'll be able to find some scrap balsa wood in the kit to use, but I quite like to use very thin plywood as it makes the assembly a whole lot stronger. You shouldn't need any thrust angle with these models. If unsure about anything like this, especially if you're new to building models, you can post questions in the Facebook Vintage Model Aero Club group. There are lots of helpful, experienced aero modelers there that will be able to help you. Next, the brick. After finding the ideal location for it, under the wing and low down to keep the centre of gravity in the right place, a slab of thin ply can be cut to size and glued to make a floor. For this plane, a small chunk of balsa was then glued to the control board, before that itself was glued to the fuselage. Before this, the included power pack push rods were inserted into the servo arms. It is important to firmly secure the board so that it doesn't move back and forth when the servos are pushing and pulling the tail surfaces. Talking of tail surfaces, the vertical and horizontal stabilizers on this Cessna were sliced in two on the line noted on the kit plan before being covered. To join them again with a hinge, you can simply use tape or carefully insert chunks of mylar. The wood is very thin, so be careful not to split it wide open or go right through to the tissue. The incision left by a standard craft blade will usually be enough to slide a hinge straight in. Next, glue the surfaces of the tail to the fuselage as shown in the kit instructions. With this particular model, I decided to strengthen the rudder with 2 struts. It's not very scale, but it definitely eliminates all flex. Small control horns, also included in the kit, can be glued to the elevator and rudder after the push rods have been passed through them. A hole for the battery access was cut into the fuselage, and for this plane I decided to upgrade the wheels to plastic ones. You can really decide how to build your kit based on your own preferences and taste. With the electronics all done in the fuselage, the last jobs were to glue in the wing and finish up any last details, such as the windscreen and glazing. To fix the nose block in place on this plane, I pressed and glued 2 1cm pieces of wire into the block and then pressed this block into the front former. The block holds well on friction alone and allows the motor to be accessed and serviced through the front if needed. With that, this Cessna 140 is finished. At this point you can go out and test fly your plane for the very first time.
Right then, we've finished the model and now we're going to give it a bit of an inaugural test flight in this sort of space here. Unfortunately it is horrible weather outside, it's really windy, and these planes don't do so well in conditions over about 3 or 4 miles an hour really. So what we're going to be doing is flying it around this indoor space, and hopefully that will give you a good demonstration of how well these things can maneuver in a very tight space like a sports hall. We've got a few obstacles to avoid, such as a big van over there and some other building sort of apparatus, so hopefully we'll be able to dodge those. I don't want it to break. Alright, 3, 2, 1. I was trying to aim for the table, but didn't quite get there. So there you have it. There's how to turn one of your rubber-powered aeroplanes into an RC flying machine. I really hope that you enjoyed this episode and you learned something. If you have any questions, then post them down below. Any comments on how we can make these videos better as well. It would be appreciated if you could let us know what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong, and we can make better videos for you in the future. Check out all of the models on the store, pick your favourite and get building them, and we will catch you on the very next episode of this YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.